First half of the race, and Fernando was saving tyres, eventually picked off George Russell in a nice move. Russell put up a small fight, but it wasn't enough. Later on, he now smells a podium. Leclerc's out of the Grand Prix, and there's 2 cars in the way that can stop him getting a podium. The first is Lewis Hamilton. And here we go, looking back from Lewis's car at Fernando's, and Hamilton gives a gap on the inside. So Fernando takes the advantage, gets there to the inside. And now what he's trying to do, he's a really clever racer, is Alonso. What he's trying to do at this point is stop the car at the apex. You can see the way that the cars are set up here. Alonso's natural trajectory is to be just washing wide of the apex, whereas Hamilton is on the tighter trajectory to be getting the switchback. It's a classic. So Fernando tries to really slow the car down so he can turn the car a lot on the apex and not give that space on the inside. And as we play it through, you can just see he gets a little bit wider, and Lewis just senses that gap's just opening up to go in the Mercedes. So Fernando would have seen just a flash of the black nose of the Mercedes, and he jumps on the throttle, and as he does, he's got still loads of steering lock on, and he has a huge slide, loses control, and Hamilton goes back through. So that's the first attempt, really, for Fernando thwarted in the wheel-to-wheel battle, and with the potential of Hamilton undercutting again. We can see it here on board with Fernando. Comes up, Lewis gives him the inside, Fernando takes it, and it looks to be a good move. He manages to stop the car really well, gets right to the apex here, and now he's just waiting, having a little check of the mirror as well there, and he can see there's almost the window coming for Hamilton to get a Mercedes on the inside. It's not quite, but Fernando just launches the right pedal a bit, has a huge snap, and ends up running wide and losing the place just momentarily there. But it is momentarily, because so quick through this section was the Aston Martin. The car was just amazing in wheel-to-wheel fighting. And the next lap, we're on it again, fighting with Hamilton. And again, Alonso could go inside, outside. He could position the car where he wanted. So much grip in the Aston Martin, and the braking power of the car, the stopping power was exceptional as well. So he's got the nicer line coming into turn 8. He can tighten off the exit as well because he was wider coming in. And he's in this position. Now, this is not really an overtaking corner. In the junior formula, maybe, but I've not seen many overtakes here. Maybe a single overtake here after lap 1 or 2 of the Grand Prix. But the way that he's positioned, it's just too inviting for Fernando Alonso, especially when there's Lewis Hamilton in the other car. He loves the scrap. And he wants to try and get it on the way into turn 10. And when he does, he just holds back a little bit here, stays wide to give himself the gap between the cars here. So if he's too close to Hamilton, then there's actually no way that he can dive to the inside, because he's just sort of held out to the outside, and you're never going to pass anyone around the outside here. So he just holds back slightly, waits for the turn, turns in late, and now he's just diving to the inside. And there's nothing that the Lewis can do once he's committed to the conventional racing line. It's very difficult to change your mind. So it's a really clever, well thought out bit of racing from Alonso. Through he goes, jumps on the team radio right about now. There we go, green light on. And he's really buoyed by that one. Straight on the radio to the team. Here we go. Next car up is a podium position, and it's Carlos Sainz.
Yes, let's go.
And the drama starts again at turn 4 with Sainz and Alonso, the 2 Spaniards now racing. This time, Fernando doesn't go to the inside. He's trying to do the switchback. And we get to this point. Now, Fernando has opened up the corner. What he's trying to do here is not go right the way around the outside of Sainz, but he's trying to get the exit and come up the inside for the next turn. And he manages to get the car straighter than Sainz. He's got a nice big gap to the inside, but he's just tickling the throttle a little bit. And the track falls away over a little crest out here. And as he's just on the throttle, the car's now understeering. He's not gone for the big stamp, which he did against Hamilton. He's just trying to blend it in and keep the speed to come alongside the Ferrari. And you can see he's catching, but then there's just understeering down towards the back end of the Ferrari. And that is stroke of luck number 2 in the Grand Prix for Alonso. The first one was Stroll hitting the back of him. This one, just slightly misjudged there from Fernando, and he goes into the back of the Ferrari. In another day, that could have been both of them out. But it seems the Aston Martin is very, very strong. And we get to this point now, into turn 9, and he's set this corner up exactly the same as he set it up with Lewis. He's on the outside. Sainz is covering a little bit more the inside of the track. And at this point, there's nothing between really the rear tyre of the Ferrari and the front of the Aston Martin. So Fernando just blends out. He wants to give himself the chance to pounce on the inside again and thrill us all with another move at turn 10. But Carlos is wary of it. And at this point, he can just see the momentum of the Aston Martin of Alonso is going to go to the inside. So he has to cover that in the way that Hamilton didn't. But now you'll see the problem with what happens when you do that. You're now in too deep. You've got too much steering angle on. And you just cannot stop the car then for the final corner. The only way that Alonso did before was because he was coming from a much wider trajectory and he could set it all up himself, whereas Sainz was tighter, and to defend he had to go tighter still, which means you're going to have this left front lockup, which he has here, and now he's just scrabbling to slow the car down and make a little bit of an apex, but he's a little bit wide there. And the chance opens itself up perfectly for Fernando as soon as he gets on the throttle, has the DRS, has the slipstream, gets so close with the back of the Ferrari here, really tight, but Sainz gives him the inside line, and that's it. Then Fernando Alonso up into third place. Thrilling wheel-to-wheel action. Absolutely loved it. Anything but a DRS pass for Alonso. In the end, it was with the DRS, but it was set up through a number of corners, and between that and the move on Lewis Hamilton, it had us all on the edge of our seats. I love seeing that racing action back at the front end of the field.
Alonso is up into third place. Carlos Sainz couldn't hold on to that podium place any longer. And Fernando Alonso, on his first start for Aston Martin, now into the top three.